So you know how sometimes you and I worry that we're like being too crass or juvenile, there's too much innuendo and jokes? I'm not going to worry about that anymore because after this one, the audience poll, it is clear that is exactly what people want from us.
Why do you say that? You think some of our audience have seen this and actually knew what they were going to put in front of us? I don't know about that. I'm not so
because
sure.
Because a large part of the plot of this movie is just this guy trying not to
He definitely has to find a zone where a job will not take him out of Zen state. So that is definitely a part of this. And we're going to go into all the juicy details.
Oh, we sure are. Welcome to Bad Movies and Beer. I'm Cooper.
And I'm Nolan.
And today in our season 5 premiere, as chosen by you, the audience, we are discussing Ninja in the Claws of the CIA, which I have heard this referred to as an Asian champagne and bullets. Do you feel that that's an appropriate description or what?
Oh, man, you mentioned that comparison to me before watching it, and I don't know that I would agree. I think this carries a slightly more professional level of, I don't know, craftsmanship or filmmaking.
Then Champagne and Bullets? Are you sure? Do you want to talk about the overdubs right now, or do you want to wait a little bit?
We need to wait a little bit. John Liu is the person who created this masterpiece. He's the main character. He's also just his own name, which is hilarious in this movie. Unlike Champagne and Bullets, he doesn't sing his own theme songs, and he doesn't write in like sex scenes where he is dominating the ladies. Not quite
hold
so
on.
much.
He does write in sex scenes though, and like Champagne and Bullets, he seems to have a grossly inflated opinion of himself, both from an acting and physical appearance standpoint. So we're gonna get into all of the absurd, confusing nonsense of this movie in a minute. Before we do, as always, we have paired the movie up with a beer, and this is the whole theme of our audience poll. It was 2 different 80s ninja movies. What are we drinking today, Noel?
Yeah, this one is called the Pineapple Ninja. So we got ninja built into the name here. Pretty easy connection. This is a wheat ale, and I'm just going to share a little thing here. It says brewed with ninja-like precision. So I guess they're trying to say that they have really done a bang-on job here. This is from the fine folks at the Muskoka Brewery. They're out of Bracebridge, Ontario. They've been in the craft beer business for quite some time, like late 90s, I think they opened up. So one of their beers, the Mad Tom, was probably my gateway IPA. It was
one of the OGs, right?
Yeah, one of the OGs of Ontario craft IPAs. It was, I don't know, the way that I got there. So drinking more Muskoka is definitely not going to disappoint me. I think this will have some nice fruit notes too for you. I think we're probably both going to enjoy this one.
I hope so. I'm not a huge wheat beer guy, so it really kind of can depend for me on what kind of fruit is in there. I love pineapple, so if this comes strong with pineapple flavor, I'm probably going to enjoy it. Muskoka does make this is not going to impress you, but they make a lager that I really enjoy. You know, it's a good, clean, crisp,
they have a nice craft lager.
Flavor. Yeah.
They make all kinds of stuff. Their pale ale, their sort of lighter IPA style beer is really good too. The Detour, if you've ever had it, but that one's really
I like Detour. Yeah, Detour's not bad.
That one's sort of a go-to. Figure out anyway.
Yeah, man. Well, this could definitely be something. I'm excited to give this a shot. Good. We're still kind of in the summery weather here, so this is a nice sort of summer beer. I think it's usually only available sort of like, I want to say like April to September-ish. It's a seasonal, not a year-round variety. So the window may be closing on trying this if you haven't already, but I hope we bring it back next year. So if you don't get to try it, keep an eye out for it next year. We're going to try it right now. What do you say we get into this?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I think you're right. This is a nice way to sort of end the summer, start off the podcast season as we head into the fall here.
Absolutely. So we actually start with some pre-credit action here, as a couple of secret agent types meet on a bridge and discuss their impending arrival of someone they refer to as the Russian. This is followed by a bunch of quick cuts and the introduction of several criminal types, and somebody talking who I think is the first guy, but neither of us were totally sure. Before you know it, some Russian dude's getting off a boat, the first 2 characters show up in a car, and everybody starts fighting. The pace of this is absolutely dizzying, and that is not going to change anytime soon.
Yeah, really, really frenetic here. I'm trying to figure out where we are. I think we're in Hong Kong. They have British accents, and I don't know if that's because they are, I guess, CIA plants in Hong Kong, and it is a British colony, or it was at that time.
Yeah, that's a good call by you. I don't know much about the history or like geography part of it, so but that would make sense, I guess. I don't understand why this Russian guy, he's being brought to Hong Kong, I guess to be transferred somewhere else, or is he just going to be working for the Chinese?
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. It seems like to me that the CIA was trying to bring him to the US, but through Hong Kong. It was like the way that they could get him out of there. But
No,
they were worried
but the
about.
CIA are the ones who intercept him. They're the ones who stop the guys that meet the boat.
I know. It's weird. It seems like the KGB were moving him or something. I don't know. Or they're worried about the KGB. All I know is not very good at showing the exposition here, explaining what's going on. They are really making it confusing early. And like you said, we go from cut to cut to cut. Like, we're getting all of these fast scenes and it's not holding together. I'm really lost already.
No, me too. And not just fast scenes, fast dialogue. These lines are almost like on top of each other. And as we kind of alluded to, everything is overdubbed. I don't know if some of the actors, I'm sure some of the actors weren't speaking English, but like every character is dubbed, including the ones who are speaking English. And I don't know if just like they were trying to put more words in than what the people were actually saying, and that's why they're kind of tripping over themselves. But it's just like quick, quick, quick. You can't keep track of it.
Yeah, no, that's super true. It's a challenge because it feels like they sped up the words in the overdub. It's almost like they're coming quicker than their mouths are moving. And maybe you're right. Maybe they watched it originally and either the sound quality was poor or they didn't think they were giving enough information to the audience, or both those together, because they are dumping it on us here. It is rough.
That's going to say, not giving enough information. That's the one thing they're trying to do, just kind of fumbling in a sort of ham-fisted version of this. But yeah, after successfully capturing the Russian and some hilariously low-budget credits, some Chinese-American guy meets a U.S. colonel to report that this mission was a success. And as we quickly learned at the CIA headquarters, the Russian is a major scientist who has designed an incredible technique for training ninjas that makes them less horny or something. What were the details of this?
So he's explaining his techniques, and it makes the ninja go into a Zen state where, one, they don't feel pain, and two, they cannot get aroused, or they cannot get distracted by women. It says there's no sex drive in this Zen state, and they will be the ultimate fighter. You cannot throw in their way and expect them to stop. I don't know. Was this a big military problem? Was this a thing that like militaries would do to each other? Is like use women to lure soldiers from fighting?
So, okay, you and I were talking about this because you mentioned like a James Bond kind of connection when we first started watching it. Both kind of debating if making James Bond less horny would actually help him or not. And your argument was that he gets in trouble a lot from sleeping with these ladies. But I find that him sleeping with ladies is also how he gets information. He always ends up like seducing some female member of something and like finding details or getting entry to something that eventually helps him like win. So I don't know if it would help or hurt, but you're right. They're trying to just like make them unseducible.
It is pretty weird, right? The James Bond is a good comparison because he certainly uses his charm and he uses his ways with the ladies to get into places he wouldn't normally be able to. But it seems like the U.S. government doesn't want to use f***ing as a way to get to the enemy, so they want some celibate boys.
Yeah.
Well, it did seem in this movie, we're going to get to it in a minute, that all of the soldiers
opposite,
are incredible horn dogs.
Like,
they just cannot help themselves. Anytime they see a woman, they try to rape her. So it's pretty interesting. We're going to get to that.
Gets a little dark for sure. Well, they've got the Russian, or they had the Russian. He unfortunately gets assassinated the second he steps outside of CIA headquarters. And with his dying breath, he curses the Americans for their haphazard security.
Is this your idea of freedom?
In his defense, it turns out the assassin was one of the CIA agents. So yeah, bad job, America.
What are they going to do right now? Their like trainer of these special ninja skills is gone. There's nobody else who can do this, right?
Well, that's what I was going to say. They just got to find another trainer. And with that in mind, that colonel heads back to his Chinese connection, Mr. Chan, who reveals two things. first, that there's someone right here in America who can pretty much do the exact same thing the Russian was doing. And second, that he's basically the Asian David Copperfield. Dude makes a flower disappear by cutting it off a bush with his knife, then it reappears down his pants cuff. And much like David Copperfield, he's with women who are way, way out of his league. You see that lady sunbathing by his pool? What was she doing there?
Oh, I mean, this sort of Chinese connection they have here, Mr. Chan may be the like most badass character in the whole thing. He also pulls off some other funny like tricks too. So I think the comparison to a performer or magician is pretty good. He definitely has those ladies fooled. They are all around him in the pool.
Exactly.
Oh, it's pretty funny. He does talk to the general and lets him know that there is somebody in America who has these skills. And he mentions a special John Liu.
Yeah, John Liu, who isn't just any ninja. He is the greatest ninja in the world. He's also the guy who wrote and directed this movie, and his real name in real life is John Liu. He's literally playing himself. And with his proprietary style of martial arts called Zen Kwon Do, he's going to be able to produce an army of unstoppable ninja warriors for the U.S. government. If the government can convince him to work for them, though. How are they going to do that?
It's going to be pretty hard because we're about to get a scene where he tells all of us that he will never work for the government. And you know what? He has a twin brother who is a military man, one who is already in bed with the government. Not only does he make himself the star, he also thinks he has the acting power to pull off twin brothers.
Yeah, he did. You didn't like him playing
like,
two parts?
What a fucking ballsy move. Oh my God.
Yeah,
the
man.
guy is so confident he's going to play himself and a twin brother, and he's going to be able to pull off just like such great skills that everyone's going to want to see more. I'm surprised he didn't do triplets. Maybe they had quadruplets of him somewhere. I don't know, a full fighting force of Liu's running everywhere.
Yeah, his brother's in bed with the government figuratively, but he almost gets in bed with the government literally thanks to some leggy Italian broad.
Oh my gosh. Well, this is going to be hard to explain, but he's out shopping one day, or he's just going by a store when he sees a bunch of street thugs trying to molest a attractive Italian lady.
Recurring theme of this movie.
Yeah, he steps in and he like beats up those thugs in traditional martial arts film style. Lots of kicks up around the head and lots of sound effects. He gets her to safety, and she buys 2 Cokes and opens them for them, and then they go spend some time by the pool.
Well, it's a wonderful day. You want to go for a swim with me?
I'll just sit here for a minute. You go ahead.
No, don't be shy. If there's anything you want, you just say the word.
I'll just enjoy the view for the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I laughed out loud when he said that as
Yeah, man.
she dives into the pool. She gets out of the pool and sunbathes just for a second to show us her hot body, and then she asks him to drink some of that Coke. But you know what? He doesn't buy it. He sort of swaps those Cokes in a very quick kind of like, I don't know, Princess Bride kind of maneuver there.
The old
right? We don't
switcheroo, man.
Yeah. He drinks one that's not drugged, and this Italian lady drinks one that's drugged and almost immediately passes out. And this looks like he's just going to be able to walk away from this until a handgun is pulled on him. And it's the colonel or general or I don't know, one of the CIA
they call
guys.
him colonel, but they also call him general later in the movie. I don't understand what his rank is here, but yes, he's got a gun on John Liu. And I guess the plan here is that he's going to blackmail John Liu into working for them because it looks like he was trying to Cosby that lady.
Yeah, exactly, right? Captain Chicken here, Colonel Sanders.
His name is Colonel Sanders, right? I'm not wrong about that?
I think so.
Okay, yeah.
He tells Liu that this is his wife and that he's found them in a compromised place, right? And that if he doesn't help them, then you're going to go down or get charged. And so I guess despite all the protests Liu made earlier to himself or his twin, he is going to be working for the CIA. He's going to go train some of the CIA's best to be these no-boner ninjas.
Yeah, I don't totally understand everything that's happening here. I kind of feel like John Liu's asking us to fill in a lot of blanks here, which, is always the mark of a great screenplay. But
yeah, one in which the plot doesn't make sense. The lines are coming too quickly, and the overdub makes all of it seem really, really confusing. It really felt like I should have had a sort of closed caption on this so I could have read it, because I was really struggling and just listening.
Well, that would have also come in very handy later on, as we'll get to in a second. But however they do this, John Liu has agreed to train the soldiers at base camp. And that's where we head now. As we meet some of the recruits, we see that he has got a lot of work to do. In fact, there's one guy who messed up so bad he's getting tortured, which in a moment is going to cause him to try to escape, I think.
I don't even think it was because he messed up. I think that was a part of the training that they had going on there. The CIA was pulling out all of the stops to create these super soldiers. This guy doesn't like it, though. We find out later his name is Johnny, and he's actually one of Mr. Chan's guys, that Chinese connection that we'd seen earlier in the movie. He tries, though, after this torture to leave this unit. He doesn't want to be there anymore. He goes to Chan and asks him if he can leave. And how does Chan respond to that?
Well, yeah, Chan sees Johnny Wong, that's his full name there, and he is not happy that he is trying to go AWOL. Mr. Chan does not condone cowardice, and he decides to teach Johnny a lesson by handing him a gun, which Johnny then uses to shoot him. But as we learned in the previous scene, Mr. Chan is magic, and sure enough, his dead body begins to twitch before he opens his eyes and rises off the ground, which causes Johnny to drop the gun and bolt. And I have to admit, that was a pretty good trick. Not making the Statue of Liberty disappear good, but good.
Yeah, he does sort of give the trick away a little bit, though, because he pulls open his robe and shows that he's got some... I don't know, what is it, like explosion pads underneath?
He's got squibs,
yeah,
man.
Got squibs on him, yeah.
The best special effects in this movie are under his shirt, man. Mr. Chan's, where all the money went to.
Yeah, you gotta get some good magical effects in there. The squibs were great, and although that doesn't help Johnny Wong. I think this just sends him down a further tailspin here.
Well, it turns out Johnny ran all the way back to base, where he decides to let his frustration out with some rhythmic gymnastics. He's twirling his helmet around and kicking it the way those fucking Olympic gymnasts do with like the balls in the floor routine. It was super fucking weird. But this gets the attention and approval of John Liu. And he's not the only one, as Liu spots a braless lady on the base grounds, and before you know it, they're into some serious legwork.
Oh, yeah. Even before we get to the legwork, though, we do have a little scene of torture. The whole character here, this Susan character... she's being trained to try to see if, like you suggested in our opening, whether Mr. Liu can resist her feminine wiles. And she's going all out to get him interested. She shows up in a white tank top with no bra and the tiniest short shorts and maybe no underwear. She is flinging those legs around, and I am really surprised did not fall out.
They are absolute booty shorts, it's true. And yeah, he is completely uninterested in what she's got going on body-wise, other than to critique her form. Although he does at one point slap her on the ass, right? When he's criticizing her like stretch, essentially.
Yeah, he's making fun of her kicks. They're not quality enough. He shows her some good kicks, and then he does kind of stretch her out a little bit and slap her ass to try to get her in some better form. He says they have a lot of work to do, but he's not interested in working her loins.
No, he seems uninterested in women at all, or at least that's true until our next scene, where he meets a lady named Caroline, who I thought was a psychologist, but according to you, she's the gatekeeper for like all the secrets of this mission.
Yeah, we had met her earlier, and she was introduced by some crazy, like, weird tooth scientist guy who clearly works
the guy
at
that's like a
base
crypt
too.
keeper of some sort.
He does. He's part of some of the torture stuff, and he also is the one controlling a lot of the CIA science. And I guess Caroline is one of the secret keepers here. We get a shot of her walking through what seems like a deserted village or houses, and she's approached by two soldiers who are looking for a non-consensual time here.
Well, yeah, as you pointed out earlier, all these cadet trainee types are just insanely fucking horny, and any like lady at all just sends them into a frenzy where, yes, they don kabuki masks, strangely, and then chase these ladies down and like try to force themselves on her. But John Liu, of course, our hero, fights them off. He gets to know Caroline a little bit. They make quite an impression on each other. In fact, after their introduction, she puts this out there.
Can I treat you to dinner?
What do you say we go Dutch?
So you tell me, Noel, going Dutch, problematic expression? Does that trigger your liberal elite spider sense or what?
We know the Dutch are infamously
Frugal?
frugal, yeah.
Although ironically, in this case, he's volunteering to spend more money because she was offering to buy the whole dinner, and now he's saying, no, why don't you just pay for half and I'll pay for half? So in this case, it's like a reverse Dutch. It's a double Dutch.
It definitely seems like we've got a bit of I don't know if he's trying to be honorable here by offering to pay for half, or is he just trying to make sure that he doesn't have to f her if he doesn't want to?
No, I think he's a gentleman. He's a gentleman, and he's just telling her, or maybe you're right, he's trying to keep professional. He wants to give himself an escape. You think he'd feel like he had to put out if she paid for the dinner?
I think he probably felt like he did, and he wasn't sure if he was ready for that. What's interesting is we cut to them, and they said they're going out to dinner, but instead they're having a picnic?
Yes, a picnic which quickly devolves into like weird, like she's kind of chasing him or he's chasing her, and then they kind of roll around in the ground. But then we get, this has to be intentional, a series of cuts where like she's on her back and she's like looking like she's enjoying herself. He's kind of like arching down and back up and sort of like starting to sweat, and he's like moaning a little bit. And I fully thought he was just her there on the grass, but no, it turns out as we get like the reveal shot, he's just doing push-ups and like turning himself on. He's like moaning and being like, oh, I love it.
Feel like an orange?
Later.
I don't understand, man. He's working himself into a frenzy.
Oh yeah, this is a lot here. So what I was confused by is I was like, if they're going Dutch on this picnic, like what did he bring and what did she bring? He chops a watermelon in half with his hand, so I hope that was something that he brought. Like if I took a watermelon on a date and my date smashed it in half, I'd be pretty pissed, right? Like I'd be like, oh, is that really how this is gonna go?
Well, if some lady you were with smashed a watermelon in half, but he's showing his masculine strength, and she's very impressed.
It's true. They definitely edited this in a way so that it made it look like he was either banging her or going down on her. She also looked quite into it. Like this was mutually beneficial for both of them.
Yeah, this is a really intense, like touchless foreplay. I don't know. It's like some sort of weird edging they're doing, and it's gonna pay off later. But before then, we get a scene where some bigwigs are on the base, and they mentioned that Susan Armstrong, that lady who was doing the legwork earlier, is going to demonstrate a new seduction technique that very day. And who is she going to demonstrate it on? John Liu, of course. And as we see in a second, her technique basically involves wrapping her legs around him and trying to stick her tongue down his throat while all the horny cadets watch and giggle. Nice work, Susan, say the higher-ups.
You really put your body and your soul into your work. Good for you.
Yeah.
How is this nice work?
She is doing what she's been paid to do. She tries to get him aroused or tries to get him to her, but he's not giving it up here. He's very uncomfortable as she jumps on him. He probably should have let her jump and just let her fall. Like just smash ass on the ground and have all the other ones. Yeah.
Just fucking bullfighter.
I've seen that
Step
happen
out
in
of the
real
way,
life.
yeah.
I've been at places where people have been not interested in someone, and I've seen women try to jump on a guy, and that guy just like let her eat shit, and he could have done that.
Yeah, man, I've definitely seen that too. Well, John Liu successfully managed to fight off one hot lady's advances, but that night after his dinner with Caroline, the two of them bang right there in a very upright and passionate position. And this is the first but not last instance of you noticing that he is a terrible kisser.
Oh my God. The intimacy scenes in here were not good. We get just the smallest amount of nudity and the tiny bit of like side body on both of them. But the close-ups on their faces while they're kissing is a bunch of open mouths that are not connecting. Like they're just going all over each other's cheeks and noses in like strange ways. And I don't know if they thought this was sexy. Like it almost seems like bad porn kissing.
Yeah, it seems like stagecraft in the sense that there is obviously no tongue. So it's just these big open mouths, like kind of not gumming at each other, but like the lip equivalent of gumming. I don't even know what you fucking call that. So he's trying to give her cheeks CPR.
When you compare this to Champagne and Bullets, what I will say...
Oh, that was much more intimate, yeah.
Who was the creator of Champagne and Bullets again?
John DeHart.
Okay, I have to say John DeHart is much better at intimacy than John Liu. And that's kind of shocking, right? John Liu's strength is definitely in his martial arts performance. It is not in his intimacy. John DeHart, despite being...
What is John DeHart's strength?
It's writing sexy songs and banging ladies on film. That is what John DeHart needs. Like, honestly, that was the best part of that movie. And it does not come
There's a lengthy sex
this.
scene, and that lady was into it, man. Fuck, man. I miss John DeHart. We gotta see a John DeHart movie.
Me too. Actually, can we do another John DeHart movie? Did he only make one?
Is there another
I don't
John
know.
DeHart movie?
All
I think
right.
he blew all his money on champagne and bullets.
Oh, I would love if there was some kind of comeback movie. We got to see.
Fuck, man. I would, yeah, for sure. No, this kissing is super fucking weird, but it is way less weird than what we're gonna see in a minute.
Oh man, yeah, it cuts off really quick like every scene in this movie, so I wasn't sure if they actually finished because it just went from a bit of bad kissing to being over. But we transitioned from there to our friend Susan again. Is that what you were going to mention?
No. It's the next day. The cadets are training, and it seems like Nailing Caroline has awoken some sort of nurturing, affectionate part of John Liu as he brings Johnny Wong a birthday present. It's an adorable little bunny rabbit that I'm sure nothing bad will ever happen to. You know, unless that guy who's angry that he brought John Liu in decides to unleash the awesome power of Spanish mind control.
Oh man, there is so much to this scene that is going to be hard to describe. This training sequence here is pretty strange. They are firing off a bunch of guns, and Liu has a very, fatherly kind of thing here for Johnny. He wants to give him a present, and this is all going great until, like you said, the strange trainer guy, we haven't had too much of an introduction to him yet, other than he's the guy who was torturing people.
Pasco is his name.
Pasco is his name?
We get the impression that he was the guy who was they were following his lead until they brought John Liu in, and he's insanely jealous.
Yeah, like all of this right now is him being pissed because he's no longer the alpha, right?
Yeah, I want to pepper a highbrow reference in here amid all of our jokes. He is the Salieri to John Liu's Mozart.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah.
There we go.
I like that comparison there. So he starts speaking Spanish into a walkie-talkie?
Okay, so you pointed this out, and I missed this. Both times I've seen this movie, I did not pick up on this. I think the first time I was watching it, like late at night, my wife was asleep. I had subtitles on. So I didn't realize that the whole scene is in Spanish.
Yeah.
Including like John Liu talking and whoever else. I couldn't figure this out except by sheer coincidence. When you and I were talking about recording this episode, I'm like, don't worry, man. Movie's like 75 minutes long. We'll be done in no time. Oh, actually, I was wrong. It's 88 minutes long. Why is this? Well, we are watching this on the fantastic Vinegar Syndrome Blu-ray release, and one of the selling points of this release is it features scenes previously unreleased that were only available in a Spanish version of the film. So I have to assume that this scene would not have been in like the theatrical. I don't think they got a fucking theatrical run, but you know what I mean. And that like this is one of the Spanish scenes, and they just didn't have English audio for it because it was Spanish only. And instead of like overdubbing it again in the modern day, they were like, let's just throw the Spanish scene in there. No one will notice or care. And I didn't fucking notice or care. So here we are.
Which is insane to me because out of nowhere, everyone's speaking Spanish. And they also seem mind controlled. It seems like when they speak Spanish in this film, it kind of puts the trainees into like a fucked up zone where they are willing to kill or harm or do different things that they wouldn't in their regular area. And this starts affecting Johnny and the other recruits. Johnny somehow goes from being appreciative of this rabbit to being pissed and trying to fight Liu. And then all the other soldiers get the rabbit that Johnny was given as a gift, and they all fucking poke it to death or pull it apart and get blood all over them.
Yeah, it's very hard to watch. I did not care for this.
No, it was a really graphic scene, and it didn't seem like it fit with the tone of other things that are happening. It also made me wonder, why was this only a part of the Spanish cut, and why did they think that was better for that audience? I don't know. I was confused by that whole part of it.
Yeah, that's a great question. What is it about the 1980s Spanish market that, you know, they were like, oh yeah, this is the way to do this? Hey, here's a throwback. If you're a Spanish citizen who was alive in the 1980s and you can explain to us why this movie would have been released in this version, please let us know at the BMB Podcast on Twitter and Instagram.
I'm sure we have a huge following that fits into that one.
In Spain?
I would
You
love
never
it
know.
if someone responded, though. It could help us out. It would be incredible. Oh my God.
John Liu has questions about all of this, as do I. But when he asks Caroline what the hell is going on, she can't or won't tell him.
There are some things you just have to accept on faith. You don't really believe your country would bring you here with no rhyme or reason.
I'm honestly starting to wonder.
And we won't get answers in our next scene either. But what we will get is John Liu using all the discipline he can muster to avoid getting a boner while Susan Armstrong him. This is what actually happens, and the shots we get here,
Holy
my God.
fuck. The Suzanne character here, first of all, she likes wood.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
When Pasco starts speaking Spanish into that microphone, she just starts mounting trees and rubbing her vulva all over them. After that, she heads over to Liu as he's in his Zen state and does so many things. The cinematography on this is actually kind of clever. We're getting it from behind. We're seeing Liu's back and we're seeing Suzanne in front. And at first we see her try to kiss him, and then we see her try to get on him a little bit. And then all of a sudden she drops to her knees and we get the behind scene. Of course, there's no opening of clothing here, so we know it's not really happening. But
John Liu does not hang dong. That's true.
No, there's no hanging dong. That would have been real commitment, I guess. I think DeHart would hang dong if he thought it would pull off more in a movie. Like
John DeHart probably saw this and was like, "Why didn't I think of that shit?"
So she attempts to blow him for quite some time. Like, it is not a short scene. There's at least 30 seconds of her trying to blow him, and he is purely zen. We get some hilarious close-ups of his face, though, as it looks like he's about to break concentration, as she's got his flaccid in her mouth. Like, we do have some of those scenes. All I'm thinking is, like, all he's trying to do is not nut. This is like an experience where,
yes,
like, when you're young and you're worried about going too quickly and you're trying to think about terrible, I was like, I wonder if we can get in that zen zone. Like, is that something that...
He's thinking about baseball. He's just thinking about baseball.
Yeah, exactly. But he doesn't. He withstands her feminine wiles even after she tried to blow him and then mounts him. Like, she tries to ride him and it doesn't work.
She once again does the legs around. Yeah, no, it does not work. John Liu does pass the test, and Pasco actually apologizes for doubting his discipline. John Liu incorrectly assumes this is him extending an olive branch and suggests that they try to make the best of a bad situation. Maybe they can even learn from each other. Unfortunately, it turns out that Pasco wants to make the worst of a bad situation and challenges him to a fight right there. It's all a tease, though, and they barely go at it. We got like 3 straight minutes of Susan trying to make him his pants and only 10 seconds of a martial arts standoff. Wait, why am I angry about this?
Yeah, he passed the your pants test and then immediately gets into that fist fight. Like you said, it doesn't last very long. I think Pasco realizes he's not going to win a physical contest with Liu here. Certainly Liu wouldn't write that into the fucking script, right? He's the man. He's not going to do that.
That's a great point, yeah. No, we've talked about that before in the past. No, after he challenged him to a fight right then and there, John Liu has basically had enough at this point and goes to his boss to tender his resignation, but the U.S. government doesn't roll that way and is not going to let him go. In other words,
John, you're in the claws of the CIA.
Nice. You know, I love when they work the title in there. That's as close as we get. It was real close.
It was pretty good. He tells them he can't teach the Zen state to Westerners and that he wants out of there. But you know what? He can't get away. But he doesn't want to accept it, right? We get another dirty quick cut, and he's talking to Caroline, and Caroline tells him, "You're fucked, dude. Like, the CIA controls everything. There's no way you're getting away. You just got to do it. You got to train these soldiers not to when they're getting blow-ups." But he doesn't want to. He's like, no, I can't do that. I got to keep my sex secrets to myself.
He doesn't want everyone to have that kind of stamina.
No,
exactly. That's right.
That's all this movie is
about.
about.
He wants to be the person you can go to.
Yeah, he just doesn't want to share with Westerners the secret to long orgasms. He just can't do it.
Ancient Chinese secret? Mm-hmm.
That's what it sounds like. But Caroline, I think, right here is changing. She's falling for him, and she does mention to him that they're pretty close to the Mexican border, and if they can get there, they can probably get a flight that gets them away from the CIA. He doesn't want to go on the lam, but for her, maybe he might. He also says he won't do it alone.
Wow. See, I took it completely the other way. I thought that, like, he was going to go on the lam, like disillusioned with the government, unwilling to serve a malevolent master, left with no other choice but to escape. He's going to do it. And she's the one who's like, I'm going with you.
See, I thought, based on the very short and abrupt and strange dialogue, that he didn't want to live that life. He didn't want to run away from them. But when she said she was willing to go, he was willing to be there with her. I think she'd had enough. She didn't want to be there, and he was going along to support her. But it's funny that we had different takes on that one.
Well, again, a testament to the screenplay here. Maybe her love for him has grown so strong that she can't bear to see him in this state of emotional turmoil, and that gives him the strength to make his move. And he does. But she also encourages him to steal some classified documents that will definitely protect them from the government coming after them. Only we learn quickly that is 100% not true, as they get attacked literally everywhere they go.
One of my biggest problems with this movie is that whatever these documents they steal that are supposed to keep them safe, one, we never figure out what they are. Like, we never told anything about it, and so I have no idea what they are. And it does absolutely the opposite. These documents now become so important to the CIA that they are going to hunt them down if it's the last thing they do. So they run away with these documents. They steal a Jeep. They have to blow up a Jeep full of soldiers to escape.
Well, yeah, that's a strange burst of violence in an otherwise, up to this point, like comedically violent thing. They're chasing after them. One of the soldiers goes to throw a grenade at them, and John Liu like pulls a fucking blow dart out of somewhere and just like darts the guy, and so he ends up dropping the grenade in the Jeep, blows them all up. But we do get like a close up of John Liu's face as he kind of like the weight of this kind of just dawns on him, and we get this smoldering, exploded Jeep, and I think like a charred up fucking body on the ground, unless I'm wrong. This is like supposed to be the part that makes you think.
Yeah, they actually do this a couple times in this film, and it's a strange tonal difference, right? These shots where they have shown humans like blown up or exploded and make you think about the horrors of this kind of conflict, where they're willing to like assume that people have died or kill people rather quickly and not stay with the same tone or shots. It's funny. It's almost like the slowest shots and the like slowest cuts come from those weird explosion or after explosion moments.
Yeah, man, John Liu aiming real high here, and I do not think he made it.
Oh God, no. This is one of those where you're like trying to high jump, but instead of like even getting up to it, you just crash into the side pole. He didn't even like get up near the mat. It was like a full, it's
man,
a rough one
for sure. But as I said, they just get attacked everywhere they go. First by those guys in the Jeep, obviously, then in Mexico City while they're waiting for that boat. But the worst one of these is when they are actually on the boat and getting intimate. And Caroline tells John Liu,
You sure know how to calm a girl down and get her excited at the same time.
which is a line that we both enjoyed. But unfortunately for the two of them, his extremely disciplined isn't the only thing going up. A few CIA frogmen emerge from the water and start climbing onto the boat, which leads us to an entirely different kind of action on the high seas.
Yeah, there's a lot to these shots. Like you said, they are f***ing on the boat, right? They're getting down.
That's not exactly how I put it. It was not that crass.
She took her bathing suit off, and he's definitely going to town on her neck and breasts in a very poorly designed intimacy scene.
Again, terrible kissing.
Terrible.
Yes, terrible kissing.
When, as you suggested, they get boarded, and she like magically appears with her bathing suit back on and some.
This was the real sticking point for you. You were really hung up on this bathing suit being seemingly off and then back on again.
It was a weird consistency thing for me that bothered me, even though there were lots of that.
I think what bothered you is there was not enough nudity. Is what bothered you.
I mean, that does.
That's right. 5 seasons. I'm still on this. Yeah. You're upset that you didn't get to see her boobs.
Yeah. We did see them earlier, though. So I don't know if I can be angry. I know.
Oh, I didn't notice that, but I'm glad that you remember.
Yeah.
Of course you did.
Yeah, of course I did. But quickly, Liu dispatches these two guys. He kicks them both off the ship, and for some reason, they don't like worry about them climbing back up. He's too busy like comforting her as one of the guys he kicks off comes back up and shoots a spear gun right through her. Caroline eats the spear gun, and quick cut, she's dead.
Yeah, he comforted her right into the fucking grave is what he did. But now, with the love of his life dead, John Liu is out for revenge. And you know what they say? The best revenge is living well. So he's just living his life in Paris. He's opened some karate school, he's nailing a hot French lady and spending some meaningful time with her young daughter and son. But I guess the CIA is just not going to let this thing go, as they send a couple of agents to try to capture or kill him again. And based on these next couple of scenes, I'm going to go out on a limb and say they did not send their best guys.
They sent the guys that are being trained at that fucking garbage hole.
God damn, these guys are such dummies. They're awful.
It is really, really bad. This was interesting. At first, I was questioning whether they actually went to Paris to film this. There's a strange shot of him like training his martial arts in front of the Eiffel Tower that looks almost fake, but I think it was real. I feel like Liu just tried to get some people to give him a budget to make this so that he could go on a trip to Paris. This felt like I'm gonna do
John Liu's
I want to.
vacation.
Yeah, exactly. I think he just built his vacation into this, or maybe he wanted to bang a hot French lady, so he's like, we got to get ourselves to Paris. He moved on really quickly. I don't know how much time has passed.
I thought that too, yeah.
Well, I guess he's already got his own like martial arts studio set up. It also seems like he has his own underground of like martial artists in Paris protecting him. It's really, really weird here. He had to have been there for like 6 months or a year or something. We skipped a whole bunch of time without them telling us. There's no way he just showed up and was immediately banging this French lady with 2 kids and had his own like studio.
Karate studio? Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, as you mentioned, he does have like they call them, I forget, they call them like sleeper agents or something, all throughout the city apparently, just ready at the drop of a hat. And we see some of them spring into action later when Pasco shows up with his guys here. He's of course leading this mission. And although he and his guys have been generally ineffective through this entire movie, he manages to strike another blow to John Liu's love life when he kills his new girlfriend in John's karate studio. And I gotta say, man, I've heard of guys having bad luck with the ladies, but this is just getting ridiculous.
The insane part here, too, is it keeps happening after a quick cut of him f***ing them. Like, as soon as he puts his dick in a lady, like, it's immediately going to switch to a quick
That's
cut.
a James Bond thing, too. James Bond sleeps with the lady who works for the henchman that she always does.
Yep,
it's not
true.
an Asian champagne and bullets. It's an Asian James Bond movie.
I agree. I think that is maybe a better comparison, and it does feel that way. It's pretty crazy, though. Obviously, 2 down for poor Mr. Liu, right? Now he's actually going to go for revenge, though, right? Now he's really pissed, I guess.
Is he? I'm not totally clear. I mean, I thought he was as well, and all I could think here was that he must have liked this lady a lot more than Caroline because he made no attempt at action after she died. Or maybe this is like a fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me situation. I don't know.
He does scream, I will get you for this. This is the most emotion we've seen out of Leo this entire movie. So I feel like, yeah, this is it, right? He's actually looking for it this time.
Well, maybe, but so maybe you can help me with this because now we get into this thing where his twin brother has a plan for the 2 of them to switch identities. And I'm like, is this supposed to allow John Liu to get closer to the guys in the CIA so he can kill them because they'll think he's his own brother and not him? We kind of see this in action later, but I'm not totally clear on what the details are. What I am clear on, though, is I feel very confident this plan is going to work. What could possibly stop it?
So my understanding of what happens now is his brother tells him to turn himself in and just do what they want in a letter that he's written to him. But he says, fuck that. I'm going to pretend to be you and use your identity to get closer to the action, just like you suggested. I don't think his brother has any idea that this is happening. And it's going to come back to haunt him rather quickly here.
Yeah, okay, you may be right about that. I'm not totally sure. But right now, we get another one of those quick cuts. And of all the quick cuts and jarring transitions in this movie, this one was maybe the most confusing for me. Because John Liu is on a plane that's supposed to travel to Barcelona where he's going to meet up with his brother. Only Pasco kills his brother and puts word out that he's dead. So the flight crew pages John Liu and he exits the plane before takeoff. Only the next time we see him, he's at the car his brother was killed in, and the brother is still there in the driver's seat. How the fuck did he get there, and where is there? Where are we? What is going on right now?
I think we did make it to Barcelona. I think he was...
The plane landed and then they paged him?
Yes. I think he was on the plane
Okay.
and they paged him while he was there. I think
But we don't see the
make
plane
it.
take off. We don't see him in flight. We just like we're just there.
Yeah, we see none of this. We don't know why he finds the car that his brother was in. Like, how did he even get there to know where his brother was? Like, all of this is not explained. I wonder how much got cut out because this, I don't know, something was fucked up. But yeah, this is the biggest temporal leap we have, and it doesn't make any sense to me. But we go from him being in Paris to him arriving at the car of his dead brother with that car being booby-trapped. It is really, really confusing. It's
My God, yes, yeah. But I guess, like, to your point, the reason he's still in the car is because the car is booby-trapped. There's a grenade that's supposed to blow John Liu up. It does not, of course.
But how long did this happen? Like, we don't know the time. How long was this flight? How did they time this all out so that he would find his brother the same day they murder him? Like, I don't know.
No, I don't know either. But there is one thing I know. It's that John Liu is going to meet up with Pasco, and he's going to kick the living shit out of him. What I did not know, but which I absolutely love, is that their fight is going to take place in like a ceramic store. There's about 200 or 300 plates on the wall, and a great number of them get broken. This was a delightful scene for me. Second best scene in the movie.
This was pretty funny. For some reason, they insert Susan in here, and she tells Pasco that he will find Liu at this ceramics store, this place that sells pots and plates. Half these things were filled with water or sand, so they were shooting dust everywhere. We get a pretty good fight with Pascal eventually losing. They don't show us the results at the end here. We can only assume that Leo took him out for good.
Yeah, but we don't know. To your point, that was really strange to me. You'd think we'd get to see him get his revenge. Maybe they were worried that would make John Liu seem like a bad guy if he's just murdering dudes. But we saw him kill that guy with the fucking thing in the Jeep. I don't know.
Well, and Pascal is kind of the big bad. Like, if we think to so many good James Bond or martial arts movies, you usually see a final kill on the big bad, right? Like, you're going to see that person taken down, and for them to leave it, I guess budget-wise, maybe it was hard to put that part in, but for them to leave that open seemed like a bit of a rough decision.
Hang on. Budget-wise, harder, but you could just fucking snapped his neck and we'd be on our way, man. That'd be it. Take 2 seconds, one more shot. It's nothing. Nope, we can't lay that on the budget. Explosions, sure, but not that. Anyway, with Pasco dead, we think there's only one person left to settle the score with, and that's Colonel Sanders. The Colonel's about to hop in a plane and take off. And he seems to have a briefcase full of those highly classified files that John Liu was going to reveal to the public.
I figured it out.
What? You know how he got the files?
No, I figured out what's in the files. It's the special recipe. It's the only thing that can be there. It's the
11
fucking
herbs and
special
spices,
recipe. Yeah.
Fuck, that's funny. Yeah, man. We're not sure how he got those, though. The Colonel just has the briefcase all of a sudden. We get some gunfire in this scene and a brief standoff with some of the CIA's kabuki mask goons before the main event, which, as you pointed out, is not Pasco, the big bad, fighting John Liu to the death. Instead, it's Johnny Wong who's challenging his old master. Or not, as suddenly Johnny stops fighting and we get this exchange.
You were right all along. They're just criminals.
You're right. Now what the hell am I gonna do?
You already made up your mind.
I don't understand what's happening, and I feel like that has been a recurring theme throughout this episode.
Yeah, they are not filling in all the blanks here. This is like filling in a Mad Lib, but only putting in like one noun and one verb and leaving everything else out, right? This is one of those where they're missing so many of the things that are important to making a complete story. Johnny does get on his side after what was actually maybe one of the better fights in the movie. Them fighting against that plane was actually fairly effective. They even used the flaps of the plane to like do impact on him.
Oh, that shit funny. Was great, yeah. When the Colonel's cranking the flaps at him, that was good stuff.
Yeah, so I actually enjoyed that fight, but now Johnny's on his side, so the Colonel's in trouble, right? It's a 2-on-1 here.
Definitely. But with the arrival of another kabuki masked machine gun armed goon, the Colonel manages to jump in a plane with the briefcase, and for a minute it seems like the bad guys are maybe going to win. But we know better. And as John Liu and Johnny Wong take off in a different plane, John reveals what we all saw coming. The briefcase does not contain classified documents, but instead contains a bomb. Or maybe it does contain the documents, but either way, explosion.
Yeah, so the secret recipe goes up in flames along with the Colonel.
We don't see the flames, though.
No, actually, we we get a cut, not shocking in this movie with all those hard cuts, and then we transition to a shot on the ground of smoke in the background, and then we do, to be fair to the crew, get a fuselage on fire and a couple gruesome dummies on the ground that look like they're been burned to death. I will say that those bodies were extra crispy though, just like the Colonel would have wanted ordered.
This is a great, just the running Colonel Sanders thread here is just fucking incredible to me. This is good stuff. So the CIA has been brought down, or at least the part of it that was running this celibate ninja operation. And John Liu has avenged 2 girlfriends and a brother, albeit by killing dozens of people. And Johnny Wong has mixed feelings about this, but John Liu tells him,
Sometimes you have to get rid of vermin so the decent people have a chance to live.
Before the 2 of them fly off to start a new life somewhere. And that is it, man. The movie ends without end credits, which I don't think I've ever seen before.
It was pretty shocking. Liu says to Johnny that this is the start of a beautiful relationship, which felt really weird.
To coin a phrase, he says, he's making a play on the old "this is the start of a beautiful friendship," which is a famous line from something I can't remember now, and I'm upset, and someone's going to surely know and be shouting it right now at their fucking podcast to listen to this, but I don't know, man. I forget the reference, but that's what it is. It's a play on that for sure.
It's Casablanca.
Casablanca. There we go. Okay, that explains it. Lofty.
Liu
Pretty
is-
lofty. John Liu again.
Yeah,
Really?
that's what I was saying. Holy fuck, buddy. I guess we're about to get to our ratings. That's going to help us talk about whether we think this should be an accurate comparison to
Casablanca. I'm going to go out on a limb and say probably not, but I guess why don't we get into our ratings? It's about that time. The way we always do this. We rate the movie on a scale of 1 to 10 2 times. 1 to 10 for how bad it is, 1 to 10 for how enjoyable, and the goal is to find movies that are a 10 out of 10 on both scales, or what we call the Crit 20. And for me, I feel fairly confident in starting this season off right, saying this is a 10 out of 10 bad movie. There's so many things that are wrong with this. We already talked about the insane pace with the quick, jarring cuts, the just egregious audio overdubs that do not line up in any way, shape, or form. John Liu's, I'll say delusional sense of his own abilities, both as a writer and director and actor and lover. Frequently, I was lost, and they're just throwing so much at you in quick succession that it's hard to follow. And then there's the fucking Spanish scenes where, I mean, I get what Vinegar Syndrome's going for, showing us this footage, which I guess adds to things. But the fact that it was exclusively in Spanish audio, this is one giant mass of confusion. And if for no other reason than that, I'm going with a 10 bad. So it's in play for me, the Crit 20. What about you? How bad did you find this movie on a scale of 1 to 10?
It's real bad.
Yeah.
I do wonder if for the first time in all of the movies we watched together, seeing the Vinegar Syndrome cut made it a worse movie.
Ooh.
But the script is awful. The editing is really bad. The sound effects on all of it is terrible. Acting is fairly non-existent. The overdub, which also is a part of the editing, is just I don't know.
Unforgivable? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a kind of a word that I was in my mind. I don't know if I think that's a good way to describe it. Unforgivable is good. The intimacy sucked.
Yeah.
Was just really, really poorly done. Yeah. And you've already explained to our listeners that's because I didn't get to see enough nudity, I guess.
That's an enjoyment thing for you, rough. I think, not a how bad.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you're right. And the mixed languages was confusing. So overall, this is a 10 bad.
Definitely.
This is as close to some of the worst films we have ever seen on this podcast.
So thanks, audience. Way to go. No, I'm kidding. New York Ninja. New York Ninja's also, it would have been the same thing as John Liu. It would have been just the same thing, but set in New York. How enjoyable did you find this on a scale of 1 to 10, though?
Well, funnily connecting to that, the first thing I have on my list of enjoyable are the actual martial arts scenes.
There you go.
John Liu is a good martial artist.
Seems like it, yeah.
Yeah, he's very flexible. He's fit. He can have some awesome kicks. The martial arts were actually okay. There were some fun locations things were shot at. It was kind of interesting trying to figure out the clusterfuck of it all, right? It's one of those where it was
like a fun mystery.
To put the puzzle of what the fuck is happening together was actually kind of an enjoyable ride, despite that not being a part of what they were trying to bring to us. It was laughable in many places. Like, we were laughing at some of the lines that were in there. They were just so cheesy. And many of the cuts and some of the stuff they had happen, just you had to laugh at it. So this one was one where I struggled a bit with my enjoyability because I laughed a lot and I enjoyed some of the other action scenes, but I couldn't think of a reason to give it any more than a 7. So I had this as a 7 enjoyable.
Oh my God, man. This is how we're starting the season off with the exact same fucking ratings.
Oh no!
Yeah, I also have this as a 7 enjoyable. For a lot of the same reasons you said. I did find some joy in the whole chaotic, like, what the hell is going on nature of it. But at the same time, as someone just trying to get a grasp on the story, I found a lot of that frustrating. The double language thing, if those Spanish scenes weren't in it, I don't think I would have lost anything for sure. It would have made me less confused. I don't remember if the 3-minute scene of Susan trying to fucking blow him in the woods was in Spanish.
I was going to say, I think that gets cut out without the Spanish, and I was going to play devil's advocate there.
Well, then in that case, I am taking back what I said. I got to leave that scene in because that scene to me, I said something was the second best scene in the movie. That's the best scene in the movie for me.
Yeah.
That shit was fucking unbelievable. Just me, mouth agape watching this, being like, what in the fuck is going on? Love that scene. I won't lie to you, that makes up most of the 7 that my rating is. Just that. But there were also the martial arts fights in the ceramic store. Fucking hilarious. The bad overdub, I actually like that. That makes me enjoy it more for how bad it is. It does remind me of those kind of parody things, but I like that. That's still, I have a fond memory of that from when I was a kid. The main things that dock it for me, the confusion over the plot. John Liu, he is a good martial artist, but I don't think he really has the leading man thing for me. His weird kissing definitely did docket some points for me though, for sure.
It definitely made me go into a no boner zen state.
There
that's
you go.
For sure. Yeah.
That's fucking funny. Yeah. You'd think this would be right up our alley and that I would have enjoyed this more than a 7, but I think that just speaks to the sort of the low level of craft that went in here, and also to John Liu's fairly limp performance as a leading man. And I feel like I can use that word both in the figurative and literal sense based on the stuff in the movie. So I don't want to hear any more complaints about juvenile humor. You all voted for the movie where the guy has to not fucking ejaculate instead of the movie where he's in New York. So that's on you, audience. But no, very good to be back. How'd you feel about this beer?
Crushable. Super, super easy to drink. First sip was a very, very strong pineapple taste to me, but it settled down a little bit after that, and it just became an easy to drink beer. I think it's kind of perfect that it's pineapple ninja wheat ale, because so much of this movie was about blowjobs, and we know what happens when you eat a lot of pineapple. I could definitely sit down with a few of these.
Oh my God.
Feels summery, though.
That's
I wouldn't want to drink these in the winter, but I enjoyed it for sure.
Yeah, I'm not a big wheat beer guy. I think I mentioned at the start. And this, to Muskoka's credit, has some of that kind of traditional wheat beer taste, but not that much. I do get the pineapple, like you said, getting that taste in there and having it be a bit lighter than what I would consider a traditional wheat flavor. Very drinkable, I agree. And again, real taste of summer. Kind of sad to see summer go, but excited to be back here for our 5th season. And speaking of which, just want to say this off the top. This movie right here, not one that a lot of people have seen, and you and I both aware of that, which is why 2 weeks from now, we are going to be watching an 80s blockbuster, a huge, huge movie. We're going to be watching Days of Thunder.
Oh my goodness. We're going back down the Tom Cruise well.
It's been a while,
this
but we're doing it.
This is a bold move. We fucked up with Top Gun. I don't know that Top Gun's a bad movie.
I fucked up with Top Gun. Don't put that on you. That was entirely on me. I recall not liking Top Gun, pitching it for the podcast, you being kind of like, are you sure? And me being like, fuck yeah, the movie sucks. We watched it, and I was like, no, I made a mistake. So that's on me. Maybe the same thing will happen with Days of Thunder. I don't know.
Okay, I'm excited to go down this one. I think I've seen chunks of Days of Thunder on television, but I don't think it's one that I've watched all the way through. So I'm excited to watch this.
Yeah, hard to avoid in the 90s. It was on TV a lot. So I feel in the same way. I've seen some scenes for sure, but not being a huge NASCAR guy, it wasn't one that I kind of lingered on. So I'm excited to kind of watch it in full for the first time ever. And maybe I'll eat shit on this one like I ate shit on Top Gun, but we're going to find out 2 weeks from now. Before then, if you have not already, please follow us on Twitter and Instagram at the BMB Podcast.
If you'd like to send us some requests for movies that you'd like to watch, or you have suggestions of beers that maybe you might find a cool pairing, thebmbpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, man, now's the time to do it. We actually still have some requests from last season that we're going to get to, but if you want to have us do some this year, by all means, get them in there to us. We're happy to take a look for you. And again, just very excited to be back for our 5th season. Thank you for joining us today for Ninja in the Claws of the CIA. We'll be back in 2 weeks with Days of Thunder. We hope you'll join us for that. Until then, I'm Cooper.
And I'm Nolan.
And we'll see you next time on Bad Movies and Beer.
Out of the claws of the CIA.
I think this is the beginning of a beautiful relationship.